There comes a moment in everyone's life when the noise fades away. The applause disappears. The encouragement stops. The people who once believed in you become silent. And suddenly it's just you, standing face to face with your own doubts. No audience, no shortcuts, no guarantee that everything is going to work out. Just one question echoing inside your mind. Can I really keep going? If you're watching this today, maybe life has knocked you down more times than you can count. Maybe you're exhausted from fighting battles no one else even knows exist. You smile around people, but deep inside, you're carrying a weight that feels impossible to explain. Maybe you failed, maybe you've lost someone, maybe your dreams seem farther away today than they did a year ago, or maybe you're simply tired. Tired of trying, tired of waiting, tired of believing that tomorrow will somehow be different. And here's what I want you to know. Feeling tired doesn't make you weak. Feeling discouraged doesn't make you a failure. Feeling lost doesn't mean you've lost your future. It means you're human. Because every person who has ever built something meaningful has stood exactly where you are standing right now. Confused, broken, questioning everything. The difference wasn't that they never struggled. The difference was that they refused to let struggle write the final chapter of their story. See, most people think motivation is something that magically appears. They wait to feel inspired before taking action. They wait for confidence before making a move. They wait for the perfect opportunity, the perfect mood, the perfect timing. And while they're waiting, life keeps moving. Dreams keep fading. Years keep disappearing. Here's a truth that might change your life forever. Motivation doesn't come first, action comes first. The smallest step, the smallest decision, the smallest promise you keep to yourself, that's where motivation is born. Think about fire. A tiny spark doesn't look powerful, but if you protect it, if you feed it, if you refuse to let the wind destroy it, that little spark becomes a flame. That flame becomes an unstoppable fire. Your motivation works exactly the same way. It doesn't begin as an explosion. It begins as a choice. A quiet, invisible, often painful choice. The choice to keep moving, even when no one is watching, even when nothing seems to be working, even when every voice inside your head is telling you to quit. Because here's the reality, life will test you. Not once, not twice, again and again and again. It will test your patience, your discipline, your confidence, your faith, your character. Not because life hates you, but because pressure reveals who you're becoming. A diamond is created under pressure. Steel is strengthened by fire, and human beings, we discover our greatest strength during our hardest seasons. Maybe that's why you're here today. Maybe this difficult chapter isn't destroying you. Maybe it's introducing you to a version of yourself you've never met before, the version that refuses to surrender, the version that keeps walking after everyone else stops, the version that understands something extraordinary. Pain is temporary, growth is permanent. Look back at your life for a moment. Every challenge you survived, every heartbreak, every rejection, every sleepless night, every disappointment. At the time you thought it would break you, but you're still here, breathing, learning, growing, standing. You survived 100% of your worst days. Think about that. Every day you believed you couldn't make it, you somehow did. Not perfectly, not easily, but you did. That means there's already proof inside your own life that you're stronger than your fears want you to believe. The problem is, your mind has a habit of remembering failures louder than victories. It remembers embarrassment, it remembers rejection, it remembers every mistake, but it forgets resilience, it forgets courage, it forgets every impossible moment you already overcame. Today, I want you to remember, not who the world says you are, not who your failures say you are, but who you've already proven yourself to be. A survivor, a fighter, someone who refuses to stay on the ground forever. Because every sunrise carries the same silent message. You still have another chance. Not to be perfect, not to impress everyone, but to become just one step stronger than you were yesterday. And sometimes, that's enough. Sometimes winning doesn't look like becoming rich overnight. Sometimes winning looks like getting out of bed when depression tells you not to. Sometimes winning looks like trying one more time after your 10th failure. Sometimes winning looks like choosing hope when hopelessness feels easier. Never underestimate small victories. Small victories become unstoppable habits. Habits become identity. Identity becomes destiny. Your future is not created by one giant decision. It's built by thousands of tiny moments when you choose not to give up. And today, that choice belongs to you. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, not next year. Right now. Because the life you've been dreaming about isn't waiting somewhere in the future. It's being built one decision at a time, one action at a time, one courageous step at a time. So before this journey continues, make one promise to yourself. No matter how difficult life becomes, no matter how many setbacks appear, no matter how many people stop believing in you, you will not become the person who quits on their own dream. Because when everything around you feels uncertain, one thing must remain certain: you. And this is only the beginning. And this is only the beginning, because every great story begins in a chapter that nobody envies. People celebrate the victory. They admire the success. They applaud the moment someone finally reaches the top, but they rarely see the mornings filled with doubt. They never hear the silent conversations that happen inside a tired mind. They don't witness the nights when giving up feels more reasonable than trying again. They only see the mountain, they never see the climb. And maybe that's exactly where you are right now. Still climbing, still searching, still wondering if all this effort will ever mean something. Listen carefully. The climb is not punishment. The climb is preparation. Life has a strange way of shaping people. When everything comes easily, character stays weak. When everything is handed to you, gratitude slowly disappears. When nothing challenges you, nothing changes you. Growth has never been comfortable. It never will be. The strongest trees don't grow where the weather is perfect. They grow where storms constantly test their roots. Every powerful person you admire has been through storms you know nothing about. There were moments when they cried alone, moments when they questioned themselves, moments when they wanted someone to tell them everything would be okay. But no one came, so they became the person they needed. Read that again in your heart. They became the person they needed. Maybe that's what life is asking from you today, to stop waiting for someone to rescue you, to stop waiting for permission, to stop waiting until fear disappears. Because fear doesn't disappear before action. Fear disappears after repeated courage. Every single time you move forward despite being afraid, your mind learns something extraordinary. It learns that fear is not the boss. You are. Think about a child learning to walk. They don't succeed on the first attempt. They fall again and again and again. But nobody tells the child, maybe walking isn't for you. No. Everyone smiles. Everyone encourages them. Because falling is expected, somehow. When we become adults, we forget that lesson. We fall once, and suddenly we think we're failures. We lose one opportunity, and suddenly we believe life is over. We hear one person's opinion, and suddenly we question our own value. Who taught us that one mistake defines an entire future? Who convinced us that failure is permanent? Failure is not your identity. Failure is information. Failure is feedback. Failure is experience wearing uncomfortable clothes. The people who eventually win aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who refuse. They're the ones who refuse to let failure become their home. Maybe you've been living inside disappointment for too long. Maybe you've decorated the room. Maybe you've accepted that this is just who you are. But hear me. Disappointment was never meant to be your address. It was only meant to be a place you passed through. You weren't created to stay stuck. You were created to grow. And growth demands movement. Not perfection. Movement. Even if today's step is painfully small, take it. Because small steps repeated every single day eventually travel distances that giant dreams alone never could. There will always be voices telling you that you're too late, too old, too young, too broken, too ordinary, too inexperienced, too unrealistic. The world has endless opinions. Don't let them become your beliefs. Because the same people who laugh while you're building often become silent when you're winning. Never build your future based on someone else's imagination of your limits. They cannot see what God placed inside you. They cannot measure your potential. They cannot predict your ending. Only you decide whether this chapter becomes your excuse or your transformation. Every sunrise asks the same question. Will you try again? Not because success is guaranteed, but because giving up guarantees nothing. Sometimes life will reward you immediately. Sometimes it will test your patience for years. Either way, Keep becoming the kind of person success can trust, because success isn't just about reaching a destination. It's about becoming someone capable of staying there. Anyone can get lucky. Very few people build themselves into someone who can handle greatness with humility. That's your mission. Not simply to achieve more, but to become more. Become calmer under pressure, become stronger after rejection, become wiser after mistakes, become kinder despite pain, become disciplined when motivation disappears, because discipline will carry you across days when motivation refuses to show up. Motivation is an emotion. Discipline is a decision, and decisions shape destiny. Imagine meeting the future version of yourself 10 years from now, the version that never gave up, the version that kept learning, the version that refused to let temporary pain steal a permanent dream. What would that person tell you today? They wouldn't tell you it was easy. They wouldn't pretend there were no tears, no setbacks, no heartbreak. They would simply smile and say, "Thank you for not quitting when you wanted to." Those 5 words can change everything, because the person you're becoming is depending on the decisions you make today, not next year. Today. Not when life becomes easier. Today. Not when confidence magically appears. Today. Every hour you waste doubting yourself, your dream waits. Every hour you spend taking action, your future gets closer. You don't need to control the entire journey. You only need enough courage for the next step. That's how mountains are climbed. One step, one breath, one decision at a time. So if life feels heavy, carry it anyway. If the road feels lonely, walk it anyway. If the dream feels impossible, chase it anyway. Because impossible has a strange habit of becoming reality for people who simply refuse to stop moving. Remember this, your current situation is only a snapshot. It is not the entire movie. Don't judge your ending based on a difficult scene. Some of the greatest comebacks in history began exactly where hope seemed to disappear. Maybe your comeback begins today. Maybe the pain you've been carrying isn't proof that you're losing. Maybe it's proof that you're growing into someone strong enough to carry the life you've been praying for. Trust the process, trust your effort, trust the lessons, and above all, trust yourself. Because even on the days when nobody believes in you, you still have one voice that matters most. The one inside your own mind. Protect that voice. Feed it courage. Feed it hope. Feed it discipline. Because the conversation you have with yourself eventually becomes the life you create for yourself. Choose your words carefully. Choose your habits carefully. Choose your future carefully. The world doesn't need another person who surrendered too soon. It needs someone who looked fear in the eyes and kept walking. Someone who transformed pain into purpose. Someone who turned rejection into resilience. Someone who proved that circumstances never have the final word. Let that someone be you. Not because you're the strongest person in the room, but because you're willing to keep standing up one more time, then life knocks you down.